We couldn't afford presents for your kids this year, Mom said softly, her eyes darting to avoid mine. I nodded, trying to keep my face neutral. It was Christmas Eve. My twins were on the carpet, coloring the backs of leftover gift wrap, still smiling, still hopeful. I said it was fine. Said we understood. Said we were just happy to be together. Then, my sister's SUV pulled into the driveway, doors flying open like a movie scene. Her kids came tumbling out with designer boots, perfect curls, and that look that says we're the favorites and we know it. We watched as they tore into boxes marked with their names in gold calligraphy. iPads. Sneakers that cost more than my rent. Tickets to a concert I knew my daughter had quietly wished for. Wow, Santa really outdid himself, Mom beamed. I looked at my kids, still smiling, still pretending. I zipped up their coats. One button. Then the next. Then the next. Dad chuckled from behind his paper. You know times are hard. And that was it. I packed our things, whispered something soft to my kids. And we left. No raised voices. No tears. Just the sound of boots on tile. The next morning I woke up, poured my coffee, and opened my laptop. Typed a single post. Not angry. Just honest. And within 15 minutes, my phone began ringing. Cousins. Aunts. Even Mom. Because sometimes the truth doesn't need to shout. It just needs to be seen. My name is Sabrina Lowe. I'm 34. And if you think you know how this ends, stay tuned. What happens when the invisible daughter finally says, I was there. I noticed. And I remember everything. My post wasn't dramatic. No names. No accusations. Just a photo of my kids that morning, sitting cross-legged on the floor, smiling over mugs of cocoa and dollar store candy canes. Captioned, no iPads. No designer sneakers. Just love, warmth, and the quiet strength of children who are used to being last. It hit like a match dropped in dry grass. The comments came fast. Then the private messages. Then the missed calls. Even my quietest cousin, the one who never likes anything, messaged me. I always wondered how you handled it. I see you now. By noon, Mom texted. Why would you embarrass us like that? You made it look like we don't love your kids. You could have just talked to me. But I had talked. Every year. Every holiday. Every overlooked birthday and forgotten milestone. I talked when I offered to host. Talked when I asked for fairness. Talked when I sent handmade gifts for their grandkids and got silence in return. She only heard me when other people did. I responded with a single line. You said you couldn't afford them, but somehow, you always find room in the budget for favorites. No reply. Just 3 little dots. Typing. Then disappearing. By evening, my sister had joined the parade. That post was passive-aggressive. You ruined Christmas for Mom. I didn't reply to her either, because Christmas had already been ruined, when 2 kids sat quietly in the corner, unwrapping nothing but silence. I wasn't bitter. I was done. And once a mother decides she's done watching her children be made invisible, she becomes someone you can't guilt back into silence. The next day, I got a knock at the door. Not a call. Not a text. A real knock, soft, hesitant. I opened it to find my Aunt Vanessa, the peacemaker of the family. Always neutral. Always smiling. Always quick to say, let's not make drama. She held a tin of stale cookies and a look that said, I'm not here for them. I'm here to clean up their mess. I just came to check in, she said, stepping inside without asking. You know your mom's heart is broken, right? I said nothing. Let her keep going. She's been crying for days. Your sister's furious. Your post made them look like villains. Then maybe, I said calmly, they should stop writing themselves into that role. She blinked. That fake smile falter. The moment where words start to lose control. They love your kids, Sabrina. You know that. No, I said. They love being seen loving my kids, when it's convenient, when there's a camera, when it costs nothing. She sat on the edge of the couch like she couldn't stay long, but didn't want to leave empty-handed. Why not just let it go? She asked softly. I stood, walked over to the shelf, pulled out a shoebox. Inside, 7 years of cards my kids had made. Thank you notes for gifts that never came. Drawings labeled to Grandma and Grandpa, mailed with sticky fingers and hope. Not once had they been acknowledged. I placed the box in her lap. Tell her, I said. Tell her they kept showing up, even when they were forgotten. Vanessa left without saying goodbye. Some silences echo longer than any scream. 2 days passed. No calls. No texts. Just silence. The kind that doesn't come from reflection, but from offended pride. The kind that says, "How dare you expose us?" Not, "How did we make you feel this way?" And then came the Facebook post. Moms, of course. A photo of my sister's kids holding their new iPads, captioned, "So grateful to spend another magical Christmas with our beautiful grandchildren. Hashtag family is everything, hashtag blessed." I stared at it, not because it surprised me, it didn't, but because the caption was so perfectly, painfully curated. My children weren't in a single frame, not even in the background. Aunt Vanessa commented, "Such precious memories. You're the best grandparents anyone could ask for." And beneath that, silence. No one dared ask about my kids. No one dared mention the absence. So, I posted again. Just one sentence. If love is measured by photos and presents, I'm glad my children are being raised to understand what love is not. It exploded. Again. More shares. More comments. And this time, messages from people I didn't even know. I thought I was the only one. You put into words what I've carried for years. Thank you for speaking it out loud. I wasn't bitter, but I was awake. Sometimes it takes public silence to finally hear your own voice. And mine had grown tired of whispering. This wasn't a feud. It was a funeral. For the version of me who kept trying to earn what should have been given freely. It wasn't long before the phone calls turned performative. First came my brother-in-law, the family's unofficial PR manager. He spoke in a low, serious voice, like he was handling a scandal. "Look, Sabrina, I'm sure your mom didn't mean anything by it. You know how holidays get." I let him speak. Let him stumble through faux concern and polite gaslighting. Then I asked, "Do you remember what my kids got for Christmas last year?" Silence. A pause. A throat clear. They weren't at the main party, right?" "They were," I said quietly. "They were sitting next to you. They each got a $5 coffee card and a used coloring book." He didn't respond. Didn't need to. I hung up. This wasn't about money. It never had been. It was about effort. About love that didn't need to be flashy, just fair. That evening, my daughter asked, "Did Grandma forget about us again?" I paused, then told her the truth. "No, baby. She just remembered your cousins louder." She nodded like she understood more than I wanted her to, because she did. Kids always do. I opened the top drawer of my desk and pulled out the birthday card Mom had sent me 2 months earlier. No note. No message. Just "Happy Birthday." Pre-printed. She hadn't even signed it. That card had sat like a weight in that drawer ever since. I handed it to my daughter. "Do you want to draw something on it?" She did. A heart. 2 stick figures. 1 tiny line underneath. "Maybe next year." I took a photo of it. Saved it. Not for vengeance. For proof. That I wasn't crazy. And they weren't invisible. By the following week, I stopped expecting apologies. Not out of bitterness. Out of clarity. I finally understood. They weren't sorry for what they did. They were sorry I said it out loud. Mom sent one last message. "Families have ups and downs. But making things public? That's cruel. You've embarrassed us enough." I didn't reply. But I did open a new document, titled, what they called Cruel. And I listed it, not noticing when my son spent 3 Christmases in the same hand-me-down sweater, mocking my daughter's handmade gifts while praising store-bought ones for my sister's kids, laughing when I said we couldn't afford a family cruise, telling me to relax when I asked for fairness. I wasn't keeping score. I was keeping receipts of reality. That Friday, I published a new post. Not a rant, not a drag, just a letter. To the families who claim unity while practicing favoritism. We see you.
Our kids see you.
And no amount of group photos or holiday captions can cover the quiet sting of being the ones always left out. We're not angry anymore. We're awake. And that's more dangerous than silence will ever be. By Sunday, a new cousin reached out. One I barely knew. I shared your letter with my therapist. Thank you for being brave enough to say it. I didn't feel brave. I felt free. Because sometimes the most radical thing a woman can do is stop asking people to remember what they refuse to see and start documenting it instead. It took one final call to confirm everything I already knew. It was from my sister. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Sabrina, she began, voice tight with practiced calm. Mom's been sick over this. She's not eating. She's embarrassed to go to church. You've made her look like a monster. She did that herself, I said. Years ago. I just stopped covering it up. My sister sighed like I was exhausting. You're so dramatic. This could have been fixed with a single conversation. I almost laughed. Instead, I said, I tried. I talked. I gave. I forgave. But none of that ever changed how our kids were treated. They were an afterthought. So now, I've stopped pretending they weren't. There was silence on the other end. Then she muttered, You've always been jealous. That was it. That old card. The favorites defense. Jealousy. As if wanting fairness was envy. As if expecting love meant I was greedy. I didn't yell. Didn't explain. I just hung up. Because some endings don't need goodbyes. They just need boundaries. That night, I sat with my kids and showed them how to write letters to themselves. I told them, write down what you're proud of, what you survived, what you want to remember, even if no one else does. My daughter asked, even the sad stuff? Especially the sad stuff, I said. Because if you don't write your own story, someone else will write a quieter version and leave you out of it. She nodded and kept writing, just like I had. I didn't hear from them again. No apology. No flowers. No dramatic knock on the door with teary eyes and trembling voices. Just silence. But for the first time in years, it didn't feel like punishment. It felt like peace. The kind of peace that arrives when the door finally closes behind someone who never truly saw you. The kind that settles in your bones when you stop hoping for recognition that was never coming. A few months passed. We healed in small ways. Mornings became lighter. Laughter came easier. My kids no longer stared at the mailbox with cautious hope every holiday. Then one afternoon, I received an envelope. Cream-colored, thick, formal. Inside, an invitation. My sister's third baby shower. Gold embossed. Theme. Little royal on the way. Not a note. Not a we miss you or hope you're well. Just a gift registry. Luxury brands only. iPads and Dior baby shoes. I didn't RSVP. I didn't text. I didn't feel guilty. Instead, I picked up my kids early from school. We stopped for ice cream. Sat on the curb. Talked about the kind of people we wanted to be. When we got home, I handed them each a journal. Write anything, I told them. What you're proud of. What you've survived. What made you feel small. What helped you grow again. My daughter looked up. Even the sad parts? Especially those, I said. Because if you don't write them down, the world will rewrite them without you. That night, I posted one final thing. A photo of us. Nothing glamorous. Just my son laughing mid-bite, my daughter wrapped in a blanket, cheeks sticky from marshmallows. The caption read, Sometimes, peace isn't found in forgiveness. Sometimes, it's found in the quiet act of no longer begging to be remembered. I turned off the comments. Not out of anger. Out of completion. They could tell their version. Say I was dramatic. Say I overreacted. Say I distanced myself. They'd be right. I distanced myself from hurt. From favoritism. From invisible roles labeled dutiful daughter. I distanced myself so my kids wouldn't grow up thinking love came with conditions. And that Christmas, our first without them, was simple, messy, real. We danced in pajamas. We built a crooked gingerbread house. And we knew, without question, we were enough. A woman spends years quietly supporting her parents, showering them with financial help, love, and effort, only to watch them constantly favor her sister's children, leaving her own kids overlooked and forgotten. The final blow comes at Christmas, when her children receive nothing while her sister's kids unwrap iPads and designer gifts. For the first time, she doesn't stay silent. She walks out, not just from a party, but from a lifetime of being invisible. The next morning, she posts a quiet truth that shakes her entire family, not with anger, but with clarity. What follows is emotional manipulation, guilt trips, and the age-old accusation, "You've embarrassed us." But this time, she doesn't back down. She sets boundaries. She tells her story, and thousands of strangers echo back. Same. This story teaches us that silence may keep the peace on the surface, but it breaks something inside you. That favoritism within families doesn't just harm adults. It teaches children their worth is conditional. And that healing sometimes begins when you stop trying to be invited and start building a space where you are already enough. If this story made you feel seen, if you've ever been the child who gave too much or the parent who didn't notice, ask yourself, who have I made invisible in the name of family peace? And when was the last time I asked them how they really feel? Because love that forgets to see isn't love at all.